Y'all should have known that this was coming, bro. Y'all should have known that this video was coming. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and hype this video. It's your boy, Mr. Law. We back with another one. The insane rise and fall of Eminem before Eminem recreated himself. This is part one, and we're going into the insane rise first of Eminem. Let's get straight into it, because Eminem can't fall off. He one of the greatest to ever do it. So we unlocking Eminem part one. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and hype. Let's get into this.
I haven't always been pissed off. I haven't always been mad. You know, came to a boiling point for me. You know what I mean? I've been through so much stuff in my life that, you know, I kind of reached a point where I was just fed up. You know, I just got tired of it.
Eminem's 12th album, The Death of Slim Shady, is finally out, and the entire narrative from Eminem fans is that Eminem is getting cancelled. If you open up TikTok and search for Eminem, the top result is going to be a 43-year-old lady named Ashley lip-syncing along to Eminem rapping about Bruce Jenner and throwing midgets with text on the screen that says, "They can't cancel this, just try me, you Gen Z snowflakes." Gen Z cancellation, controversy, offensive, this and that, but in reality, it's crickets. Genuinely, no one cares. I don't mean that no one cares about Eminem. He's actually still huge. He's the biggest rapper alive with more monthly listeners than Drake. The album rollout for The Death of Slim Shady broke streaming records, with Houdini being the fastest growing rap song of all time. Somehow, Eminem is still loved and relevant 25 years into his career. But all of that, and the one thing he isn't, is controversial. At one point, he definitely was. But now, he's an old man yelling at clouds about how many enemies he has, when in reality, he's still one of the most legendary rappers ever. And that's one of the big reasons.
And white or not, we can't deny the fact that Eminem is one of the most legendary, influential rappers out there, bro. He better than a lot of y'all rappers out there, and one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Facts.
Reasons why a lot of his music in the last 10 or 15 years has been really bad. Because I believe that while the persona of Slim Shady was the reason for Eminem's success in the first place, making him blow up and become an icon, it was also the reason a lot of his music has become pretty bad. Slim Shady damaged Eminem's ability to make good music. But this new album and its concept of killing off Slim Shady might cause Eminem to finally outgrow his past and make good art. But there's also a chance it might not. If you know the real story, you'd know it's a difficult past to outgrow, because Eminem is 52 years old and an undeniable legend of hip-hop. His work from 1999 to 2004 fundamentally changed pop culture permanently. The Marshall Mathers LP is one of the best hip-hop albums ever. Some of the greatest rappers today consider Eminem one of their primary inspirations. But nowadays, Eminem is also perhaps the most disrespected rapper alive. Maybe even more than Drake. Because while he yells and rants and raps about how the new generation is trying to cancel him for being offensive, in reality, no one cares much at all, besides to maybe laugh or make a meme about how he's so out of touch. So how did Slim Shady ruin Eminem, and why is Gen Z supposedly canceling him? 1996 was a rough year for Marshall Mathers. His debut record, Infinite, was a failure. It barely sold 1,000 copies, and not even the smaller DJs from Detroit wanted to play it on the radio, let alone reaching an audience from outside his own local area.
Damn, but don't nobody talk about this side of Eminem though, when he only sold 1,000 copies, bro. When times was rough, nigga. When he, you know what I'm saying, like, ain't nobody talking about this though. They just talking about the great side. That's why this is the insane rise and fall. You know what I'm saying, like. And not fall as in him falling off. He ain't never fell off. But sometimes you go through things. So I want to know more. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know a lot about him, it's still stuff that we need to learn. Let's get into it. Let's get back into it.
After grinding through the Detroit battle rap scene and making mixtapes since he was a teenager in the late 80s, in 1996, 24-year-old Marshall was finally ready to make his debut album. A local indie label had saved up enough money to build their own studio and help him produce it, but Infinite failed miserably, and 9 years of work and passion went down the drain. Not only did it go largely unnoticed, but a lot of people who did listen to it thought it was weak. In
Man,
1996, being a white rapper was almost blasphemous. It's still pretty controversial today, but back then there was no G-Eazy,
nah, that's
there was no
facts
Jack
though.
Harlow, there
That's
was no Wiki,
facts.
there was no Eminem. Vanilla Ice was seen as a giant grifter and a scammer, and even well-liked groups like the Beastie Boys and House of Pain.
That's who they consider Drake is nowadays, bro. That's all I'm saying. They the Vanilla Ice of the game. The Vanilla Ice of the game. That's what critics is saying, bro. So let's get back.
Were considered novelty acts that were focused on blending hip-hop with rock and other.
And too, Eminem been through a lot, bro. When you think about it back then, bro, they did not want no white rappers, bro. Facts, especially in hip hop. He had to really prove himself, and he did that, bro. That's why I still don't understand why people hate on him, bro.
Other genres, not actually making serious rap songs. So expectations for Eminem were pretty low, and the blandness of Infinite wasn't doing Marshall any favors. Adding to his problems, he had just discovered that the major label A&R, who had been promising him a record deal, was in fact an imposter working in the label building's mailroom sorting letters. Marshall thinks about his life. His daughter Haley is about to have her first birthday, and he only has $40 to his name. He can't even buy her a gift. On top of it all, it's the holiday season, and he just lost his job washing dishes at a restaurant a few days before Christmas. And then there's the evictions and the constant moving, one rundown.
Been through some sheesh, bro. Like some of this stuff I never known that it was that deep. Like when he first paused that when he first came into the game, bro. Like Eminem had to go through it, homie. No wonder he doing what he doing now, bro. He never stopped.
Neighborhood full of violence and drugs to the next. Marshall doesn't have a stable place to stay. In a lot of ways, he felt like a loser. He had failed at providing for his daughter, his relationship with his girlfriend Kim was suffering, his rap career was going nowhere, and he even messed up his suicide attempt. You know who didn't fail at their attempt though? The guy who introduced Marshall to hip-hop. His uncle Ronnie. He was the same age as Marshall, and one of the few people who truly cared for him, but he had killed himself 5 years ago at age 19 while dealing with heartbreak over his ex-girlfriend.
Well, life's hard, bud.
It sounds like a pretty crazy family, and maybe that was it. Crazy family with crazy genes. Maybe that's why Marshall was in this situation to begin with. So when young Marshall thinks about his family, all he can remember is generations of abuse, misery, and tragedy. Marshall's grandmother was abused by her mother. Marshall's mother was abused by one of her stepfathers. And Marshall, he was abused by his own mother. As for his father, Marshall never knew him. All he knew was that his father, Marshall Bruce Mathers II, named his son after himself and then abandoned him and his mother when he was a year old. At the same time though, Marshall tried to keep going, at the very least because he had a little kid to take care of. Besides, life wasn't all bad. At least he still enjoyed rapping. It gave him a sense of purpose, something to be good at, people to be around, and a way to express his feelings. So Marshall just kept going as much as he could, despite his house getting robbed, needing to move his family into a mobile home with his abusive mother to survive, despite getting fired and every other horrible
Facts. Eminem said his mama used to beat the crap out of him, bro. Like abuse him. They lived in a trailer park, bro. Like I've seen people live in trailer parks. That shit is rough. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Like that's a different type of struggle too. I'm gonna just keep it 100. It's probably not my struggle, and of course not my culture, but that shit is a different type of struggle. Keep it 100.
thing that could possibly happen, music gave him a reason to keep pushing, even though that felt like a failure too. When Marshall rapped about his pain and struggles, people yawned. When Marshall expressed his love for his family, especially his daughter, they turned on another station.
I ain't gonna hold you though.
The disappointment.
That shit sound cool. Like it don't sound bad. That's why I don't see why people didn't accept this. Which is weird, but like I said, back then a lot of people had a hard time accepting white boy into hip hop, period point blank, no matter how it sounds.
Disappointment and rejection he felt after releasing Infinite culminated into more of a feeling of anger, and in a moment of revelation, it came to him that Marshall was weak and boring. So one day, very suddenly and famously, while he was just in the bathroom sitting on the toilet, he thought of the name Slim Shady, and suddenly, a new alter ego that would empower him to stand up to his critics and overcome his lifelong struggles was
Damn,
born.
the alter ego.
As a child, he would draw
Crazy.
sketches of comic book heroes. It made him feel powerful, or rather, just not as powerless as he did, being a kid with so many problems to face in
That's
his life
hard.
far before
Pause.
he ever should have.
A lot of times kids, when they feel like their external world is impoverished or they feel neglected, they need to feel big and powerful and strong. And they can feel big and powerful and strong by associating with X-Man, by associating with Batman and Superman, because they have superpowers then. So it really helps them feel like, okay, maybe I'm not so small, maybe I'm not being as abused as much, maybe the world can be okay because I can be He-Man.
And he was bringing that energy forward now as he got the idea to rap like he was someone else, a villain called Slim Shady.
After that record, every rhyme I wrote got angrier and angrier. A lot of it was because of the feedback
Damn.
I got. Motherfuckers was like, "You're a white boy, what the fuck are you rapping for?
See?
Why don't you go into rock and roll?" All that type of shit started pissing me off.
Slim Shady comes out of the
I knew it, bro. I knew it, man. Like, it was different times back then, bro. It was just crazy. That's why I say for Eminem, it was way harder for him now than YT rappers nowadays. And that's for real. That's facts. He went through a lot, bro. Like, and he overcame it. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually, everybody had to accept him. That's it. You talented. Eventually, your talent gonna overpower any emotion or any type of ill will somebody have towards you. At the end of the day, you still gonna be liked by a lot of people because of your talent. Get back.
the gate rapping like a demon with nothing to lose. If life was miserable, he would fuck things up even more. Slim Shady would never suffer in silence. He'd make everyone else around him suffer too. The only rule was to make it funny. His friends found it hilarious and energetic. His girlfriend found it horrifying. Life was still shitty, but at least his new material was fire. And then in December of 1997, about a year after Marshall almost died at the lowest moment of his life, the Slim Shady EP was released. And this was at the same time as the 1997 Rap Olympics, a battle rap tournament in LA that Marshall spent money he didn't have to travel to and compete in. His new hostile yet funny Slim Shady style did great, and he placed second. The crowd went nuts.
Get a clean cloth to wipe this bloody video screen off! Flawless victory! Ha! Stop! Give me that motherfucking mic!
And in that crowd stood an intern from Interscope Records. This time,
I don't know if that was the 8 Mile reference. Let me know, y'all, in the comments below. I don't think so, though, yet.
a real one. He approached
It
Marshall
could
and
have
asked
been,
if
though.
he had
It
any
could have
CDs
been.
or cassettes. Marshall, of course, gave him a copy of the EP,
think
which
it
the
was,
intern took
honestly.
back and eventually got into the hands of Dr. Dre. And Dr. Dre said this.
What the
Over.
fuck and who the fuck is that? Rewind that. Play that again.
Dre
It was
only wanted
over.
one thing, to meet Eminem immediately. And
Facts.
before long, they started working on a big album, improving a few songs from the EP, as well as making a bunch of brand new ones. And so a little later, in the start of 1999, about 2 years after Marshall almost died, the Slim
Life
Shady
changed.
LP was released. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady. Whoever he was, his entire life was about to go through a psychotic change. The Slim Shady LP changed the game. It was certified platinum within 2 months and it even won Best Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys. Eminem instantly became an A-list star. But what kind of A-list star? One of the reasons the album was such a huge hit came from the novelty of a white guy rapping. But that wasn't
Facts.
all. Eminem also happened to be ridiculously creative and fresh on
Facts.
top of that. Rolling Stone magazine said this: Eminem isn't trying to be Jay-Z, DMX, or Tupac. He's trying to be the Roadrunner. He's also probably the only MC in 1999
That's
who
a
boasts
great
low
name for him.
self-esteem. His rhymes are jaw-droppingly perverse, bespeaking a minimum wage life devoid of hope, flushed with rage, and weaned on sci-fi and slasher movies.
Whew. Uh-huh. That nigga killing it for real, bro. That's how I keep saying y'all people can't hate on M, bro. And people can, but at the end of the day, talent gonna overpower anybody hate. Like I said, bro, it is what it is. Eminem is that guy, bro. It is what it is. He one of the greatest. White, black, Hispanic, or what? Eminem is one of the greatest, bro.
So I'm dumb enough to ask for a date with Lauren Hill.
Even beyond the
I'm
cartoonish
dumb
shock value
enough to
lyrics, though,
ask
Eminem creates
for a date with Lauren Hill.
vivid worlds of unique details and descriptions. Plus, musically, the album is great. It's exciting and poppy, yet skillful at the same time. Most importantly to the Slim Shady LP was the character itself, which, while audacious and wild, was only nominally different from Eminem's real life. Finally, his personalities could shine. The jester, the self-loathing critic, the humorist, the guy who fantasizes about murder, most of all, the guy who's clearly been through a lot, despite often coming off as a kid trapped in an adult's body. Eminem's music was clearly true to his gritty life experience, but even beyond that, people found themselves drawn to the energy of the music, no matter if they related to him or not. The character was just that crazy.
When you see me, you and your black with two blacks screaming, fuck the world. Just don't get and sit there and I'll be back and telling this old girl I'm gonna cry. Don't give a fuck.
That's when Eminem had no brains. He like, bro, I'm just tired of this shit, bro. I'm about to pop out and show y'all, homie. Like I deserve to be here. I'm here to stay. Y'all can't run me off of none of that, homie. Like he was popping it for real, for real.
But it remained clear that Slim Shady was an exaggerated persona, not Eminem's true self. All of the cartoonishly gross violence, the sex jokes, the nasty comments, the swearing, it obviously wasn't meant to be taken seriously. But at the same time, strangely enough, a lot of the details in the Slim Shady LP are 100% autobiographical. This lyric from the song My Name Is might be shocking at first, but it's also the sad reality of Eminem's life.
When I was little, I used to get so hungry I would throw fits. How you gonna breastfeed me, mom? You ain't got no tits.
When he was a
That album, bang, homie. That song, bang, bro.
baby, his mother had blood poisoning and couldn't breastfeed him. In the same way, the song Brain Damage comically depicts an emergency room situation where doctors consider shock therapy for an unresponsive Eminem. The narrative unfolds, though, revealing incidents of regular assault at school when Eminem was a kid, especially by a classmate named D'Angelo Bailey, who once beat Eminem until he couldn't move. The stuff in this song is again terrible, but also mostly true. D'Angelo Bailey is a real person that actually beat Eminem in school. The first lie in this song is that in reality, though Eminem didn't play dead by holding his breath, he actually almost fell into a coma and only survived after being admitted to the emergency room. The part where Slim Shady comes in and gets revenge, though, that's the one thing that never actually happened. Some songs blur the lines even more, like 97 Bonnie and Clyde.
Don't you wanna have?
Snap.
And that song is about me murdering
And
my
watch
daughter's
off
mother.
the water and we can play it by ourselves, can't we? Crazy.
In the trunk. And at the time when I wrote that song, I really felt like I wanted to do that. And that's why again I say my music is therapy for me. It's a way to get stuff off my chest.
When you realize that Eminem's songwriting as Slim Shady isn't a fantasy, but actually in a way his own life story, it becomes a weird situation to find enjoyment in these upbeat songs that sound like satire or comedy, but are actually confessions of a lot of Eminem's darkest thoughts and real experiences. Watching Eminem only receive recognition once he started pouring salt in his wounds in front of the whole world, on the surface it's funny, but if you look deeper, the meaning of the music changes completely. Take a listen to Rock Bottom, the first song he wrote after his attempt in 1996. Publicly sharing all of this extremely personal stuff and blowing up overnight with it is bound to take a toll on you and everyone in your life, especially because Eminem channeling his true self through Slim Shady didn't exactly feel like someone sharing lessons they learned long ago or healing from their trauma at all. And so before long, it makes sense that Eminem's raw, unhealed past wounds would open again.
But there you have it. It's your boy Mr. Law back with another one. Eminem Part 1, bro. The rise of Eminem. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and hype this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Let me know in the comments below, did y'all enjoy this? More coming soon, bro. Be looking out for part 2.